I still remember the sound of them clapping, loud, over-the-top, fake-ass clapping. My sisters grinning like they just handed Dad the keys to a new car. Ray saying, "That's real stainless steel, Dad," like he bought Rolex instead of a stupid golf watch. I was 10. I'd spent 2 weeks carving a pen holder from a block of oak I found in the garage, sanded every edge smooth, stained it the exact color of Dad's office desk, even carved his initials into the side. No glue, no nails, just hands, time, and trying to make something that actually meant something. He pulled it out of the box and went, "Oh, just that." Then set it down and reached for the golf watch like it was Christmas morning. That was my place. Not dumb, not lazy, just background noise. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. My name's Nate Delaney. I'm 38 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio. And if there's one thing I know like gospel, it's that some families don't need to hit you to make you feel invisible. They just forget to look your way. Dad always loved flash. Big plans, shiny wins. Ray was his golden boy. Went to business school, started climbing the corporate ladder before he even graduated. Dana? She was charm and hustle. Could talk her way out of a DUI or into a corner office without breaking a sweat. Me? I stayed quiet, fixed what was broken, took care of things nobody noticed. I used to think it'd change when I got older, that one day I'd do something and they'd finally see me. But every family dinner was the same thing. Ray bragging about his firm's latest acquisition. Dana flashing her fake white teeth, talking about networking with the regional VP, like she was 2 seconds from running the bank. I remember once, I told them I'd gotten a promotion at the warehouse. Not glamorous, sure, but I'd worked my ass off for it. I said, "It's a management position now. Better pay, benefits." Dana laughed. Actually laughed. "So you're like head box mover now?" Nobody circled back. Nobody said congrats. Ray started talking about his bonus check. Dad didn't even look up. I just nodded and kept chewing. I was Nate, the spare, the filler between real conversations. That never changed. The only person who ever saw me, really saw me, was Grandpa Walter. He was never loud, never gave speeches, just showed up with tools when something broke, told stories that were more lesson than memory, and listened when I talked. Not nodded, listened. That man could stare through your ribs and know if you were lying. When he passed, the will wasn't read out loud like in movies. Just a small envelope slid to me at the reception. Inside was a key and a folded yellow note, written in that spidery script of his. "For the one they'll overlook. Use this when they forget who you are." I found the safety deposit box a few days later. No drama, no guessing. Grandpa left everything in order. Inside was a thick folder labeled Delaney Holdings, and a power of attorney making me executor of the family investment trust and his private portfolio. There were stocks, a list of seed companies he helped start back in the 70s, and a breakdown of every penny that fund had grown. Ray didn't even ask. He just assumed it went to him. Dana cracked a joke at the wake about how Ray'll probably triple it by next quarter. I didn't say a word, just nodded, like always. I didn't touch the fund at first. Didn't need to. I had a warehouse job, my own tools, a little one-bedroom off Parsons Avenue, and a truck that shook when it hit 40 but never failed to start. That was enough. But Grandpa's words stuck with me, so I learned. I stayed up late, watching YouTube lectures, reading books I had to Google every other word of. Eventually, I got good. Real good. Quietly, I built my own algorithm, my own private investment shell. Named it Blue Echo. Ran it off a secure system I kept in a locked safe behind my garage toolbox. It was surgical, efficient. I didn't gamble, I calculated. And over time, that 47 grand Grandpa left me turned into something much, much bigger. Still, life stayed simple. I helped Mr. Beasley across the street with his groceries every Thursday. 84 years old, Navy vet, stubborn as hell. Closest thing I had to real family now. He'd seen combat, seen buddies die. Said what I had was a war of patience, and I was winning. Then one morning, he called me, voice low, almost embarrassed. "Son, I hate to ask, but my heater's out. Repair guy wants $175 cash. You think you could?" "I'll be there in an hour," I said. I didn't even hesitate. That man had helped raise me in ways my own dad never could. So I drove down to Monument Federal, where Dana worked. I walked in with my flannel shirt, boots, a hat I didn't bother to take off. It was the middle of a Tuesday, bank wasn't even crowded, but she spotted me in 2 seconds flat. She was behind the counter, talking to a guy in a tie. Her eyes landed on me, and her smile twisted. Not fake customer service fake, mean fake. Like she smelled something bad and realized it had my name on it. I kept walking. Didn't matter what she thought. I was there to get the cash, help Beasley, and go. That was it. But as I stepped up to the teller line, something in me itched. I remembered the quarterly audit I'd just finished. A few weeks back, I'd spotted Dana's name in the account logs. Small withdrawals, odd transfers, listed under authorized family use. She didn't have that authority. Never did. I'd made a mental note then. Watch it. Now, seeing her smirk, like she still ran the world, I decided I'd dig deeper. But first, I had $175 to pull out. Then, I'd deal with Dana. I stepped up to the teller, pulling out my wallet. The lady smiled politely, that standard next customer face, and asked how she could help. Just need $200 cash, I said. Simple. No fuss. Before she could type a single key, I heard the sound of heels. Sharp, fast, deliberate. Then came her voice. Wow, Nate. Dana. She said my name loud enough for the whole bank to hear. I turned my head just enough to see her coming over, all confidence and perfume, that practiced corporate smile stretching too wide. Didn't think we serve broke mechanics here, she said, stopping beside me. Her tone was sugar-coated poison. The teller froze, glancing between us. I kept my eyes forward. Dana leaned in, close enough I could smell her perfume. You sure you even have that much in your account? A few people behind me chuckled under their breath. One guy muttered, "Yikes." My throat went tight. I tried to answer, but the words stuck. My hands felt like they weighed 50 pounds. The teller stammered, "Ma'am, if you could." Dana cut her off. "It's fine. I just want to make sure my little brother doesn't embarrass himself trying to withdraw pocket change." She said, "little brother," like it was a disease. Every sound in the room sharpened, the soft tap of keys, the hum of fluorescent lights, the whispering behind me. It all blurred together, one big wave of heat crawling up my neck. And right then, I wasn't 38 anymore. I was 10, standing in the living room holding that carved pen holder while everyone clapped for Ray's damn golf watch. I felt my fingers tighten around my wallet. I could have said something, could have told her she didn't know a damn thing about my account. Could have shut her up right there, but I didn't. I just stared at her, long enough for that fake grin to twitch. Then I turned around and walked out. She wanted a reaction, a show. I wasn't giving it to her. The doors hissed open and the cold air slapped me in the face. I didn't stop walking until I was back in my truck. My hands shook when I started the engine. The smell of oil and old leather filled the cab, grounding me. "Forget it," I muttered. Not worth it. But the words felt hollow. On the drive home, every red light seemed longer, every memory sharper. I pictured her standing there, laughing with the tellers afterward, probably telling them some story about me being the screw-up brother who never left the blue-collar life. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my jaw hurt from clenching it. I sat there a while, staring at the steering wheel, telling myself that was the end of it, that she'd had her fun and I could move on. But deep down, something cracked open. It wasn't rage, not yet. It was colder, cleaner. I didn't even take my boots off when I got home. Went straight to the garage, flipped the light on, and pulled the rusted Craftsman toolbox away from the wall. The safe behind it was low-tech, old combo dial, no fingerprint, no voice prompt. Just metal and numbers, like Grandpa preferred. Inside, under some old documents and a Colt he left me, was the setup. 2 encrypted drives, fiber line, a VPN rig I'd built by hand. I sat on the cracked stool, popped the drives into place, and powered it all on. The hum of the server fan kicked in. That sound always calmed me, like a beast waking up, just waiting for my signal. Blue Echo came to life in seconds. No loading bar. No splash screen. Just data, clean, living, mine. I stared at the dashboard like I always did, just to remind myself it was real. Started with $47,000. Grew it piece by piece. Taught myself coding, trading, risk modeling, how to read CEOs by their body language and earnings calls. I kept it quiet. Set up layers. LLCs inside trusts inside Shellcore. Used a guy in Malta, a firm in Delaware, an address in Singapore that didn't exist anymore. Nobody could trace it back to me unless they cracked 4 encrypted firewalls and a dead man's key file. And what it had become? Blue Echo was sitting on $4.3 billion in liquid assets, not counting the long-term positions. I wasn't playing Wall Street. I was the street. They played on me. I ran routine audits weekly. It wasn't even paranoia anymore, just maintenance. But that night, something told me to go deeper. I pulled up the bank layer under Midcore Holdings. A tiny regional bank folded into Blue Echo's portfolio during a silent acquisition last year. One I barely looked at. That acquisition had been handled by my legal team without my direct review. I trusted them with the smaller shells, but now it had my attention, because that bank, Monument Federal, Dana's bank. I zoomed in on the docs, confirmations, subsidiary trails, employee structures. They were all there. Her branch fell under an operational umbrella that I technically owned. She worked for me. I sat back, ran my hand over my mouth, and let that settle. Not out of shock, but clarity. This wasn't revenge. Not yet. I didn't want to blow her life up just because she embarrassed me. That'd be too easy, too messy. But I had something better than anger. I had leverage. And with Grandpa's words ringing in the back of my mind, use this when they forget who you are, I realized it wasn't just about me. It was about responsibility. I was the last line. Nobody was watching these people. Not my dad, not Ray, not anyone. So I picked up the phone. My lawyer, Rick, answered on the second ring. "What's up, Nate?" "Schedule an emergency partner review with Monument's regional execs," I said. "You want to? Blue Echo's moving assets, all of them." "All right. You want to send a proxy or?" "No, I'll be there." He was quiet for a second, then, "Got it. I'll prep the paperwork." I ended the call and shut down the system. Pulled the drives, locked them back in the safe, rolled the toolbox into place. The garage felt colder than before. Didn't matter. I was awake now. I parked across the street on purpose. Didn't want valet, didn't want a front row entrance. Just me, my truck, and the same boots I wore when Dana humiliated me a few days earlier. Clean jeans, fresh shirt, no jacket, no tie. Let them see me as they never bothered to. When I walked through the doors, the air hit me like it always did. Too cold, too sterile. I barely made it past the welcome mat before some guy in a gray tailored suit nearly tripped over himself getting to me. "Mr. Delaney," he said, smiling too hard. "Welcome, sir. Derek Moore, Regional VP. We've been expecting you." I shook his hand once, firm, quick. "Where are we meeting?" "We've prepared the manager's office, sir," he said, turning to guide me. That's when I saw her. Dana was in her glass-walled office, flipping through papers, sipping her overpriced coffee. She looked up, eyes locking on me, then shifted to Moore. Her face twisted first in confusion, then snapped into full-blown panic. She stood, started for the door, like she was going to stop the meeting before it even started. "Not now," Moore said, without even looking at her. Just raised his hand like she was a child acting out. She froze mid-step, mouth slightly open, eyes darting back and forth. I walked past her without a word. Moore opened the door to her office, and waved me inside like it was mine. 2 other suits were already seated, legal and finance by the look of them. Moore closed the door behind me. I didn't sit. "Let's make this simple," I said. "Blue Echo is initiating a full withdrawal, all funds, liquid and otherwise." All 3 froze. "How much are we talking?" one of them asked. $4.3 billion, I said. The guy's pen slipped out of his hand. Moore swallowed hard. "May I ask the reason for the sudden exit?" "Personnel issues," I said, turning toward the glass. "Specifically from this branch." Right on cue, Dana burst in. "What the hell is going on?" she snapped, eyes wild. Moore stood, holding out a hand to stop her, but I raised mine. "It's fine," I said. Then I turned to face her. "You remember that mechanic you mocked last week?" She blinked. "What?" "The one who walked out of here quiet," I said. "Didn't argue, didn't make a scene." Her face drained. "That was the managing principal of Blue Echo," I said. "Your boss's boss's boss." She looked around the room like someone was going to laugh and tell her it was a prank. "You?" she whispered. I nodded once. "Me." No drama, no raised voice, just facts. She looked like someone had cut the power inside her. Like the ground dropped out from under her heels. I turned back to Moore. Transfer paperwork needs to start today. All accounts. We'll be moving to a competitor bank, privately held, not subject to your internal politics. Dana stepped forward like she wanted to say something, but Moore spoke first. We understand, Mr. Delaney. We'll process everything immediately. I looked back at her one last time. Nothing needed to be said. For a second, nobody moved. Then Dana's knees buckled. She dropped right there on the office carpet like her bones just gave up. Her coffee spilled, papers scattered, Moore flinched, and one of the other execs stepped back like she was contagious. She looked up at me, mascara streaked, breathing hard. Nate, please, her voice cracked. You can't. Think of Dad. Think of the family. She crawled closer, her heels scraping the floor, hands trembling like she was trying to hold on to something that wasn't there anymore. I didn't move. You don't understand, she kept saying. If this money moves, they'll fire me. I'll lose everything. Moore finally stepped in, straightening his tie, face tight with embarrassment. Ms. Delaney, that's enough. But she didn't stop. She reached for my boot like I was supposed to pull her up. Please, Nate, don't do this. I was stupid, okay? It was a joke. I didn't mean it. You can't. Security, Moore said quietly. 2 guards appeared within seconds. You could tell they didn't want to touch her, but orders were orders. They each grabbed an arm, trying to lift her without making a scene. She fought them weakly, twisting toward me. Tell them to stop. Tell them I didn't mean it. I stood there, hands in my pockets, calm as steel. This was never about the money, I said, leaning down just enough for her to hear. It was about respect. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Moore nodded to the guards. Take her outside. The room went silent except for the scuff of her heels on the tile as they dragged her toward the door. One of the execs whispered something to Moore, but he waved him off. When the door closed, he exhaled slowly and turned to me. Mr. Delaney, the transfer will be processed immediately. I'll handle all communication with corporate. Damage control begins now. Good, I said. Make sure every trace of Blue Echo is gone from your system by end of day. He nodded. Understood. I turned toward the glass wall. Through it, I could see customers pretending not to stare. Heads down, eyes sneaking glances anyway. I caught one reflection. Me, standing in her office like I'd always belonged there. I walked out without another word, past the tellers, past the same counter where she'd mocked me. Same doors, different man. Outside, the sunlight hit hard. Halfway to my truck, my phone started buzzing. First, Dana, then Ray, then Mom. Back to back, non-stop. I ignored them all, then the screen lit up again. Dad. For a second, I thought about letting it ring. Letting him feel that same silence I'd lived with my whole life. But something in me shifted. I hit answer. Nate, he said, his voice low, cautious. We need to talk. Yeah, I said, opening the truck door. We do. Sunday rolled in gray and heavy. I liked it that way. No sunshine, no fake brightness. They pulled up around 6, Ray in his leased Range Rover, Dana and Greg in their Audi. Dad showed up alone in Mom's old Corolla. Probably didn't want to explain anything to her yet. They parked in front of my house, not the apartment they remembered. This place had a porch, brick siding, a yard that didn't share a fence with 10 others. Paid in full, clean title, no mortgage, no strings. I opened the front door before they could knock. Ray blinked like he wasn't sure it was the right address. Dana's mouth actually hung open. She didn't even hide it. Inside, it smelled like chili and fresh cornbread. Nothing fancy, just real food. Grandpa's favorite. I made it the way he taught me, slow and deliberate, with just a little heat in the finish. No store-bought shortcuts. We sat down at the table. Nobody said much during the food. Ray muttered something about the kitchen backsplash. Dana complimented the cornbread, which I ignored. Greg sat stiff, like he was waiting for someone to accuse him of something. Smart instinct. Then Dad cleared his throat. You proved your point, he said, cutting straight through the silence. Now fix it, get Dana her job back. I didn't look at him, just kept spooning chili into my bowl. She's your sister, he went on. Family, she was wrong, sure, but you went too far. Dana jumped in. You went nuclear, Nate. She embarrassed you, so you ruined her life? That's sick. I still didn't speak. She lost her apartment, she added, like that was supposed to make me feel something. She's working a front desk at a strip mall credit union. She's humiliated. I let the pause sit. Then I reached under the table and slid a thick folder across the surface. Manila, no label. Ray frowned. What's that? I looked Dana in the eye. Let's talk about who really ruined what. She hesitated before opening it. The first page had her name, a fake vendor name underneath, and payment logs that trace back to the family trust. The trust I was executor of. Skimmed payments. Forged invoices. 38 grand. Her face went white. Greg leaned in, eyes scanning faster than his brain could process. Then he looked at her like someone had just kicked him in the ribs. You told me it was a consulting thing, he whispered. She didn't answer. Ray pushed his chair back slightly, clearing distance. Dad was stone quiet, his jaw clenched, his hand in a fist on the table, like he didn't know whether to yell or puke. I stood up. You want to talk about family? This isn't one. This is a boardroom full of users. Dana opened her mouth. Don't, I snapped. You laughed in my face. You let Dana trash me in front of strangers. Ray acted like the executor role should have been his by default. And Dad? I turned to him. You sat through every one of those dinners while I got treated like background noise. You never once said a damn thing. Nobody argued, they just stared. I'm done, I said. I walked out of my own kitchen, past the living room, out the front door. Left them in there with their silence and their secrets and the cornbread still warm on their plates. Months passed, no calls, no texts, not even a guilt-ridden voicemail. Dana lost her job about 3 weeks after the dinner. Some internal audit flagged the same crap I found. Dana? She's stuck behind a fold-out desk at a strip mall credit union near the freeway. No nameplate, no office. Just a plastic smile and a stack of paperwork she's finally not too good for. I never reached out. Didn't need to. The silence was better than any apology. Best gift they've ever given me, actually. I put the old family fund to use the way Grandpa would have wanted. Dumped every last dollar into a veterans outreach center just outside of Grove City. Full service, counseling, financial planning, housing support, the works. We named it after 2 men who actually mattered, Walter and Beasley Resource Center. Mr. Beasley cried when he saw the sign, said no one ever named anything after him that didn't involve a bar tab. Now, I spend most mornings there. I help run the financial classes, simple stuff like budgeting, credit repair, basic investing. The kind of stuff nobody ever taught them. Beasley's there every day. Sits by the garden out back, telling stories to the younger vets and reminding anyone who will listen that peace ain't flashy. It's earned. He told me last week, you know, Nate, most men don't get a second shot at family. You built yours from scratch. That's something. I looked around that garden. A single mom hugging a volunteer after getting her housing voucher approved. A kid in an army hoodie helping Beasley carry mulch. A retired Marine shaking my hand after class, saying, no one's ever explained Roth IRAs like that before. That's my family now, the ones who show up, who see me. They never cared about my net worth, only that I meant what I said, that I showed up, that I was solid. People still ask me about the $4.3 billion. Some think it was a revenge play, some just want the strategy. I give them the same answer every time. It was just accounting. Because the real move wasn't about money. It was pulling my loyalty out of a bankrupt bloodline and reinvesting it somewhere it could actually grow. And that account, it's finally showing a return. Who do you think was worse, Dana for mocking him or Dana for stealing from him? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.